Hello, in this tutorial we're going to talk about 3D objects, rigid bodies and components. So as in the last tutorial you did see me create a cube. All you have to do is go to game object, then 3D object, and you've got a list here. So we've created a cube, got this sphere which you could use for if you're making a football game or you're making a spaceship game and you're trying to put planets or something. It's totally up to your imagination. You can also create a capsule, which if you want to create maybe a drug from a pharmacy for a first person shooter, you can go into a pharmacy store. You see, this is just my imagination, but yeah, you got the sphere, not the sphere, sorry, the capsule, 3D object, cylinder. So I would say make a tunnel, but you'd have to do that in a 3D modeling program. But for this, maybe you can make pipes, just have them like that, begin to scale them up, copy, paste, have the pipe like that. But it would have to be very straight pipes. You wouldn't really be able to rotate them and kind of have them like that. Otherwise it looks a bit, complicated and unprofessional. You got the plane, which is a plane, just a simple square. And the quad. With rigid bodies, it's kind of like collision. You can add so it collides and that. So let's just create a cube, delete these two if you've still got them in the previous, and keep the terrain there for now. And what I'm going to show is, just do that. I'm not too sure if I mentioned the focus button in the previous tutorial, but if you press F, it will focus on it. So if you're all the way over here, or all the way over here, and you don't want to go all the way back, just click on the cube in your hierarchy. Don't press F there, otherwise that happens. Press F when you have the mouse cursor in the scene view, and it will bring you straight back to the cube. So you can see it's already been given a default box collider. If it hasn't, then go to add component, physics, and then there's the box collider. But I don't need to, you see it's made two now, so that's just unnecessary. So right click and remove component. So now rigid bodies, if you go to add component, go to physics, and then go to rigid body. If you don't like doing it through there, you can go up to the component window, and it's the same process, physics, rigid body. So now that I've added a rigid body, you'll see it uses gravity. It has a mass of 1, which is the weight, the drag, the angular drag, which we'll mess around with later. But now I'll show you what happens when there's a rigid body. So click play. There, you see it has results. So if I grab loads of cubes, drop them here, just have 4, click play, you see physics, which is probably the coolest thing in the whole Unity engine. But if I was to paste loads inside each other, I think they're going to fly different ways. Yeah, so something like that. So now let me show you something interesting. If I delete the like that, get these cubes, untick all the used gravities for each cube, and now click play. They all have no gravity, so look, it's kind of like space. So you can see they're just flying. They're going to just keep on flying, and this will probably end up hitting the terrain. To be honest, it does seem like it's getting close. And you'll notice if it does hit the terrain, it will have like a really cool physics effect. Oh, is it gonna hit? There you go. So really cool kind of thing. So you can see these are still flying. I'm pressing F to focus on them. It's still flying. They're all flying. But let me just come out of that. So that's that. And with the components, you can tweak the box collider. So X, which would be that way. So we obviously don't want the collision that big, so bring that back. You've got the Y, and then you've got the Z. But that's totally up to you. It's kind of like if you were creating like a robot or something. I'll do this very basic, but this could be his head. Rename it to head. Copy, paste, let's just snap it down. There you go. So now you'll notice if you hold down the control, like I mentioned in the previous tutorial, it snaps by one Y downwards. You can also see on the right here, it's snapping by 1. So yeah, let's have that there. That can be his neck. Or not his neck, we'll just make that his body. And have that like that. Have it somewhere like that. Just call that his chest. Create another. Bring that down. Have it something like this. Leg. Another leg. Copy, paste. Actually, we'll grab both the legs. Copy, paste. Bring it up here. Hold down control. Rotate until it's 90. So now we've got a a basic zombie, unless you want to go into more detail and start to, you know, grab his eyes. Remember, Control Shift, you can snap it into places of the cube. So now we have his eye there and eye there. So that's a very basic thing, but if we was to now parent all of that, so let's just call that eye. I'll go into parenting after, but in the next tutorial I'm going to teach you a bit about texturing. So let's go ahead and, you know, texture this actual zombie looking thing, but that covers everything in this tutorial.